We're all excited, as I said, to be joined by Nakas Onyeka, veteran CFL linebacker, signed with Saskatchewan Roughriders, announced yesterday, and he joins us today from Toronto, the T-Dot. How you doing, Nakas?
I'm good, Rod. Yourself?
Good. Am I saying that properly, by the way? Can we get that out of the way first? Your the pronunciation of your name?
Nakas Onyeka, yes, sir.
Okay, good. So Clark, our producer, was saying how overly entertaining your Twitter feed is. He said that this morning, and I said, well, that's not news to me because a couple of weeks ago, you really got fires lit with what you're saying. Nakas, we'll get into that. Let me just start with you signing with the Riders. You seem super pumped to be coming to the Wheat Province.
Oh, no, I'm really excited. I think from being in Toronto and then kind of playing road games in Sask, it's kind of complete polar opposites, right, in terms of what the support is like in Regina, right? And that was one of the things I was kind of looking for in what I'd call my next home. And I've had guys who played in Sask and who said nothing but great things about the fan support, about the team support. So I am really pumped. I am really excited to see what Riderville has to offer. It's a place that I want to make home, and I'm very excited, as I kind of stated before.
I'm interested to know, as much as you can say, what your discussions with the team have been in terms of expectations, because there's a growing group of really good Canadian linebackers, not the least of which was the West Division Canadian of the Year, Cameron Judge, last year. I mean, that's obviously a position where they want to load with Canadians. That's great news for you.
Well, Judge specifically, he's a great player, and I will have the pleasure of kind of teaming up with him and playing with him. And I know they have a good group of guys, whether it be Solly, Gainey, Charleston, who've kind of been in the league before, who know all the ropes, right? And I'm just trying to fit in where I can. There's a lot of potential for team success there, and I felt like it was the best opportunity for me to see personal success. But I feel like the biggest thing I'm going to be able to get out of Judge specifically and Solly is that whole competition feel and them driving me to be better and vice versa. And that's kind of what I have experienced in Toronto with guys like Bear Woods, with Marcus Ball, with a lot of guys who've been around the league for a long time. And that's kind of something that I'm looking to pull out of it.
But, obviously you really became national. You got national notoriety with your tweet about Canadians hating the CFL, which I will get to. But when the Argos cut you a few days after that, I'm like, no, I like this guy. They can't cut him. And then all of a sudden, a week later, you're signing with the Riders, which probably led to your tweet, pro football is a crazy business. What was the reasoning behind that tweet?
Well, it's funny because it happened to be the same day that the news came out that the commissioner was going to the federal government for some funding. And just going through my timeline and kind of searching through, I saw like there's a lot of, what's the best word? A lot of hate kind of directed towards the CFL and their position. And a lot of people talking about how it's not relevant to today's culture and today's group of fans. And I know being in Toronto specifically, they haven't always got the support that a lot of teams out west get. And there's kind of this little brother feel about the Argonauts. And that's really what sparked the conversation. I kind of just wanted to see people's insight on why they weren't fans of the CFL or what they had against the league. And as I'm sure you know, I kind of noticed that there were a multitude of different answers, ranging from everything between that it's a bad product itself and we don't hate it and we love it. So there are a lot of different answers to that question. But I do think there is some misguided notion and hate towards the league, and I really do feel like, I know my generation specifically growing up, there wasn't a lot of people who were ecstatic or proud to be CFL fans growing up. So I kind of just put that question out there, kind of wanted to figure it out. I didn't expect it to take off the way that it did. And it was really insightful, as I said, as toward the kind of answers that I got. And just to kind of close it down, that's not the reason I was cut, because I have been asked that a few times. I left on my own while I asked to be released for a few different reasons. But yeah, those two things do not correlate at all, just to clarify that.
Well, I'm glad that you did clarify that. And by the way, your mentions, as you said, because you got up the next day and said my mentions are a mess. It was hilarious. I went in and read every single one. And you know what that tells me, Nakas, was it served as a focus group or a survey as to what people think about the CFL. Most people were completely wrong. That just told me the CFL needs to get its message out there a little better about what it's about. What did you take away from what the reaction was from people?
I feel like the biggest thing that I took out is that a lot of people look at it as a something that has to be comparable. And the reason I say that is a lot of people say that they didn't like the CFL because they were NFL fans, when they're both two standalone things. Like, you can like baseball and like hockey, right? So there's no reason that you shouldn't be able to support the Bills or support the Ravens or support the Eagles and be able to support the Argonauts, right? And what I kind of do also realize is that it is kind of focused in Southern Ontario specifically. A lot of the responses that I was getting in terms of liking and loving the CFL were out west, in the prairies, and a lot of support was coming from the Q, Quebec, but there was kind of a lapse in that Southern Ontario region where people were actually giving me the responses I was kind of looking for. So I kind of find that really, really interesting. I found that entertaining in a sense, just because there was some, like I said, some misguided hate towards the question I was posing.
I want to come back on this in a second, but first, your tweet about pro football is a crazy business. What led you to say that?
Well, it's just funny because they say the football world is a really small world, and I have kind of experienced it. And me specifically, I was never expecting to leave Toronto in 3 years. I thought it was somewhere I'd call home for a foreseeable future. And then with talking with Shives and talking with Dickie, I found out that Shives right now lives in the same place that I was born, right, in the same place that I was raised. And that one day you could have kind of a timeline planned out of where you want to be in August and where you want to be in September, and kind of planning for your team success, as I was for the Argos. And the next week you're in a totally different part of the country, right? And it is just a business at the end of the day, and that's something that I've learned in my first 3 years, that not to take things too personal, as a lot of teams are just trying to do what's best for them. I completely understand it. I completely respect it. But there is more to pro football than the actual play on the field. And I've kind of learned that the hard way. A lot of guys have kind of learned that the hard way. But it is more to just football than actually just football. So that's where I kind of stand on it. I love it. I'm grateful for the opportunity. But yeah, that's the truth about it.
There's absolutely no doubt about that. And by the way, Rider fans are writing in like crazy. Our boy Ricky Kazama writes in. Ricky Regina says, this guy will fit in great in the green and white. Val Koberinsky Paulson says, smart guy, welcome to Rider Nation. Nakas sounds like a proud Canadian kid. So obviously you've got a tremendous welcome from the Rider Nation already, and you haven't even set foot in town. And I think it's going to be fantastic. But let me just go back on the Argo thing for a second. Obviously, you've been following it for a long time. You're from there. They thought moving from Rogers Center to BMO would save it. They thought ownership change would save it. They thought everything would save it. So far, nothing has. Do you think drafting Dejon Brissett number 2 overall, and his brother plays for the Raptors, might have something, might help? I mean, what do you think it would take to get people turned on to the Argos in Toronto again? Because they used to be.
Well, it's a tough question. I know for us personally, the most success that I saw in terms of fan acclamation was right after we won the Grey Cup, our second year, or my second year, that following year, we had a home opener. And we had maybe 24,000 people there, and that was the most people I know that we played in front of. So I do feel like team success is obviously the number one fundamental thing. Not many people want to go out and support a team that wins 4 games or 5 games or 3 games every year, and that was kind of unfortunate in the situation that we were in when I was there. But I definitely think that there is something that you can kind of attribute to when you bring homegrown talent in, whether it's Dejon, whether it's Jack Casta from Mississauga. I know they re-signed guys like Jamal Campbell, like Levi Noel. I feel like there is that kind of attraction when you know the players, right? Or the players were raised around you, or their homegrown talent. And there's a reason that you now have to support, right? And it is kind of a sticky situation when you kind of get into what works and what doesn't. But I feel like Toronto and MLSD specifically are on the right path to kind of determining that. I know MLSD is a great brand to kind of stand behind the team if you are looking for ownership. And hopefully, I hope it turns out for the best for them, man. I was an Argonauts fan growing up, and I supported them through thick and thin. And I hope that they kind of see success on that side.
Well,
Not so
you
much
are.
in the
You've had a tremendous career so far. Picked in the 5th round, 2017, Grey Cup champion already. But you know what? You're just getting started. So can't wait to get you out here, Nakas. I appreciate the visit. By the way, what are you expecting from the commissioner today at 3 p.m. Eastern with his announcement? Do you know anything? Can you tell us anything?
I'm wishing for the best. That's what I'm wishing for. I don't know any more than you know right now. We're kind of left, or I'm kind of left in the dark. I'm sure a lot of guys also are, but we're wishing for the best. I know internally we've kind of discussed amongst players that there is a good outlook in terms of what's going to happen with the season. We know kind of the financial situation the CFL is in, and we think that that's going to kind of leverage us into playing. And I'm not opposed to playing. I think that a lot of players and fans are kind of on the same thing, but at the end of the day, we kind of have to do what's best for us in terms of making sure the players are healthy, making sure players are going to be safe, and then making sure that we can get the most out of the season that we can, right? And I actually just realized that the Grey Cup this year is in Saskatchewan. I had no clue. Was kind of out of the loop on that. So I feel like it's going to be a successful season for the Green and White if there is a season. I know we're bringing back a lot of talent. We're signing a lot of talent, and I'm really excited for that. So same thing. I'm hoping for as a great announcement as you guys are from Randy.
Sounds good. Well, we'll find out together. Nakas, thanks for the time. This has been awesome, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Roughriders linebacker Nakas Onyeka joining us from Toronto today. There you go. Oh, was he still going? There was an audio issue. Naka, can you say the last 30 seconds of what you're saying? You're back on. What were you saying right at the end there?
Rod, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I just wanted to say our relationship's moving fast, man. Last week we were Twitter friends, and I'm on your show just like that.
I know. I'll buy you lunch when you get into town. How's that?
I'll take you up on it. I promise.
Sounds good. Stay safe. There you go. I'm glad we brought him back on.
Yeah.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.